Hello and welcome once again to Minds That Matter. I'm your host, James Thomas, and today we have a very special guest. His name is John Joyce, and he's a homeless advocate. Welcome, John.
Thanks, Jim. How are you?
Good. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
We have had you here before, and I wanted to bring you back partly because you've been in two articles recently, one at the Phoenix and one in the Providence Journal, talking about the issues of homelessness and how to end homelessness and things of that nature. So I figured we want to keep the fire burning while it's hot, and we wanted to bring you back to have you kind of let us know where things are now in terms of the fight against homelessness.
Oh, it's always a fight.
Yeah.
Endless battle out there. I mean, with the way the economy is right now, it's real tough. The numbers show that they're rising again. We knew the second wave was going to happen with foreclosures, unemployment. Just preparing for the winter. I mean, it's summertime's a little different than the winter. You don't have to. People are not going to freeze to death, and that's it's more warm, but it still doesn't justify people sleeping outside.
Right. So you've got, you mentioned the numbers. You've talked to Eric Hirsch.
Correct.
About the numbers. Do you have a sense of what they are in terms of what the statistics are now? What the chronic homelessness, the overall homelessness in Rhode Island? Do you know what the numbers are at this point, or the percentage?
It's up 4% from January to May. That's usually a time when it usually declines. Again, this year, it seems to be increasing. I know in the city of Providence alone, there's more families coming into homelessness. I mean, the family shelters are full. There's just no room. Even the regular shelters, the women's shelter at Crossroads in Providence is completely full. It's overburdened. All the men's shelters throughout the state. I really don't know what's going to happen this winter. We got the Emergency Shelter Task Force. We're going to be sitting at the table in July. That's never happened before. We're keeping an eye on things.
My understanding, the federal government has made an initiative around ending homelessness also. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's the opening doors. That just came out last Tuesday. It's real important. I mean, this is going to be a 5-year plan to end homelessness, 10 years for families with children. It has everything we've been advocating for. The Obama administration has been at the forefront to end homelessness in this country. My firm belief is that housing should be a human right. I believe that wholeheartedly. It's something that people need just like food. It's a life-sustaining activity. It's just shelter.
I did a training this morning over at Housing First in Providence, and it was on reality therapy, and we were talking about basic needs. And the most pronounced basic need for folks that are homeless is security.
Right.
Is having a home and having enough money to pay for food and electricity and all those things that some people take for granted. If you're homeless, you don't take that stuff for granted.
No, you don't.
Right.
I mean, it's just your basic good meal at home. It's somebody who's been homeless for a while really strives for. It's not a choice to be out there to become homeless. You don't wake up one day and say, okay, I want to be homeless. It happens, especially in these times. More people are coming into this situation. And the people that are coming into the situation now are more vulnerable. They never expected to be in the situation that they're in.
Now, you started Tent City.
Yeah, I did, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that has gone and scattered. There are still people living in tents, obviously.
Yeah, there's people sleeping in tents all throughout.
But the organized function of everyone in a community has gone away.
Yeah, we lost in the courts. It's illegal to sleep in the state of Rhode Island outside. It's illegal to sleep. Why? I don't know.
Unless you pay for it at Burlingame State Park.
Correct.
Or something like that.
And that was offered at the table.
What, to go to Burlingame?
To go to a state park and actually pay. That was brought up by the courts in the state of Rhode Island to go to a place and have the community pay for it. Well, if you're homeless, how are you going to pay for that?
Right.
There was no job. That was offered at the table during all the courts. I mean, we still got things in court. The lawyers are taking care of that. But the whole tent thing was an unfortunate situation. I didn't want to do that. Myself and Megan, we really thought about it. But when you're finding people sleeping all throughout the city and they were scattered, it got dangerous. And when somebody died, we said enough's enough.
Right.
We didn't want to do that. Well, there was 98% need for it. A lot of people thought it was a big protest. It wasn't a protest. There was a need there. 2% of it, of course it was. We pushed the point that homelessness does exist in this state. It is a real issue. It's a real problem. And the state of Rhode Island, John Q. Public never seen that before. They never seen people living under a bridge in the middle of winter.
I just did a survey for CARF, which is the Commission on Accreditation for Rehabilitative Facilities, down in Gainesville, Florida. And I asked them down there, what do you do down here for homelessness? And they said, nothing.
No, nothing.
The city does nothing. And so I'm not, you know, we're ahead of the curve in terms of what we're attempting to do in terms of resolving the issue, but we have a long way to go.
Oh, it's always a long ways to go, but we made a lot of strides just in the past 2 years. I've been advocating for the homeless for over 3 years now. I was homeless. I was out in the streets for 3 years. I know what the battle is out there. I know what the fight is. I continue to fight every day. It just seems like they set up all these laws and different things to criminalize the homeless. Like you can walk down the street, Main Street, USA, and they'll call it progress. If a homeless individual walks down that same street, it's called a crime. That's got to change. People's attitudes got to change. The people that are out there on the streets right now, they've never seen this before.
Right. So in terms of, I mean, the Rhode Island Coalition for the Homeless, Jim Ryzik and
Great
Karen
organizations.
Jeffries, have they been doing anything up at the State House in terms of initiatives around funding for entitlements, for vouchers, for any kind of money to tie in either getting buildings that have foreclosed and using for housing?
Yeah.
Are you aware of any of the stuff that's going on in that arena?
Yeah, I was part of the process. The governor eliminated the $2.5 million. It was the only state-funded affordable housing program in the state. It was called the Neighborhood Opportunities Program.
Right, NOP, right.
I belong to the government relations, so we set up a committee just to strategically plan to try to get funding back. They had a birthday party at the State House. There was a campaign to knock on doors, get letters. Me, I took the tent out again. I brought it throughout the state of Rhode Island to protest these cuts. I was telling John Q. Public that a tent is not affordable housing. The program keeps people in housing that are already subsidized housing, but also puts people in housing, and housing is how you solve homelessness. For the governor to eliminate that program was very disheartening. Strategically, it worked. We got $1.5 million back into the program. It's not enough, but it's something. I mean, it was a success.
What did the Neighborhood Opportunities program do while it was operating? Did it provide subsidies?
Subsidized housing.
Okay.
Affordable rents, 30%.
So same as Section 8.
Correct.
Okay.
But it was the only state-funded program. And it creates jobs. To build these units, puts people to work. Usually when you start building units like this, you get economic development around that. For every dollar the state invested, $9 came back in economic growth and jobs. So it's a win-win situation. It's more of an investment, like any other housing programs.
Okay.